You are out of storage. Damn. All right. I'm out of storage. Oh no, I can't. That's true.
That you can come to my house, enslave me, rape my wife, rape my daughter, kick me out of my house, and then you give me a savior. And I embrace that savior. And I embrace the savior of the person who came into my house, took my house, raped my wife, raped my daughter, and impoverished me, and enslaved my sons, and enslaved my grandchildren. And I must run with that God given to me by this slave master. A slave who worships the God of the slave master is a slave who is damaged in his mind. A slave who worships the God of his slave master is a slave who is damaged in his mind. And I'm here to awaken black people. Who you were before you met this wicked, diabolic white man is enough. And I'm calling you to fall back in love with that. Go back to there. Go back there. Now you're glorifying the ancestors of people you know nothing about. You are glorifying the Moses. You are glorifying the Davids. You are glorifying the Solomons. You are glorifying those people are not connected to you in any way, shape, or form. And you demonize your ancestors. You are your ancestors are you. We are because our ancestors were. We are because our ancestors were. And they were because we are. It's the same lineage, the same DNA flowing through your blood veins. And now you've been convinced by some form of religious witchcraft to demonize who you are, to demonize your ancestors and glorify people. And this is what Afrocentric community is all about. To make you fall back in love with yourself again. to look at yourself with fresh, new eyes, to undo the damage that has been inflicted in your head for hundreds of years. We are undoing the damage. And you need to just go and think when you get home. And make sense out of worshiping a God of your slave master. You're really telling me?
Right now, out of their 14 ex-colonies, because they made them sign the pact of the continuation of colonization back in the late 50s. And they had no choice but to sign.
And what does that look like? Because that means, so whenever these 14 countries that are, part of that, like when they have goods that they want to export, they can't because...
Yes, they can, but they have to export them to France.
They have to export them to France.
And then have to buy back. They have to buy back the products. They export the natural resources, the raw materials, and then they have to buy back the products from France.
With their money.
With their money. Now, France also forces them to spend to give up to 85% of their GDP to France. Up to 85%, right? They force them to give them French companies, the first right of refusal for every public or private contract, right?
So if they say, hey, we got some cocoa beans here, we want to sell it to America.
No economic sovereignty, no food sovereignty, no power sovereignty, right? Because they're forced, again, to export their resources to France and then buy back the products to survive. That's what's going on right now.
And this is why the countries are kicking them some...
Exactly, and that's why, and France is taking the 500 billion and they invested in the stock market in France to the tune of trillions of dollars. Africa's not getting that. France is keeping that. And if somebody speaks up, they turn off the faucet of the currency because France is printing the currency for those 14 countries. That's why now you have people like present, like
Burkina Faso. What's the other guy? Niger and Mali.
Niger.
Those guys.
Exactly.
I'm glad this happening. It's real.
Who are getting together.
Yes.
And they're kicking out France because what happened before, if a country said no, France would pour concrete in their sewage system, in their water supply. They would destroy the schools and the hospitals before they leave, right? Then they would come in with mercenaries.
Yeah.
And they would take people out. Lumumba, Thomas Sankara, right?
Yeah.
That's what's going on right now. So colonization is not over.
154, we all connected, baby, you already know. I'm talking 154, we bringing Africa around the whole globe. Ain't no place like home. Ain't no place like, ain't no place like home. Ain't no place like home.
Of all my people, and that is Black Americans, that is continental Africans, and that is the African diaspora. All my people. I advocate for the unification of all my people. I love and cherish Black people. I need more Black Americans to start taking trips to Africa, start taking vacations, elongated vacations to different countries in Africa. Stop going to Mexico, stop trying to go to Europe, all these European places, and start going to Africa. Start interacting with the natives. I've been a vast amount of times from Nigeria to Ghana to Madagascar to South Africa to Johannesburg, Seychelles. When you start talking to the natives, all that shit. Oh, Africans hate us. Africans they call us Akara and all this. That shit go out the window. You will learn and you will see for your own eyes in person, not online, not the divisive rhetoric bullshit. You will see in person that they do not have a problem with Black Americans. They love Black Americans. They want us to come back. All while I was out there, every single country I was in, they kept saying, "Oh, please, yes, yes, Black Americans, yes, we want more of you here. We want more of you here. Please move here. Please come back to the motherland. Please, the African men and the African women. Yes, please move here. Come back home. Come back home. Come back home." That's what they telling us. That's what they were telling me. Yes, this is my individual experience across different countries that I was in and have traveled to and stayed for months at a time. But it's a valid experience. Yes, we do have colonized Africans who have a European, mind frame and, speak ill of, Black Americans, but we also have Black Americans that do the same thing to the continental Africans. Y'all don't understand. It is by design that we are divided. It is by design. They want us divided. They don't want us, unified. They don't want us to come together. So they spread this misinformation. They spread this propaganda. They spread all the bullshit, the lies. Why none of the Africans came and helped us while we were going through Jim Crow and all? What the fuck kind of question is that? Because as we were going through, as our ancestors, parents and grandparents were going through, Jim Crow and all of that, the continental Africans were having their own issues with fucking colonialism and, the Eurocentric brainwashing and everything. They had their own shit. But anyway, you will see that they love us. The brainwashing is by design. All that, African is by design. Go to Africa, go see for yourself. Speak to the natives. Don't stay for a weekend. Stay for a couple weeks and really engulf yourself in the native culture. Really go see the people. Go see them. Go talk to them and realize how misinformed you have been damn near all your life. Until we have unity, we don't have any collective power. We don't have any power. Go see for yourself. Continental Africans don't hate us at all. Yes, they have their own coons over there, but so do we over here. We have our own goddamn conservative coons over here. So, I mean, it's by design. We got assimilationists over there, just like we have assimilationists over here. It's by design. Go see the people, and you'll see you've been brainwashed, you've been conditioned, you've been led by propaganda. They want more of us there. They want us to come back home. Y'all trying to separate and divide, and we're trying to unify. I love all my people. Americans, that is continental Africans, all my people.
But everyone has a different story to tell. Shell, which says it's losing the Tampa market.
In Northeast Africa, precisely on the Horn of Africa.
All right, family, once again, good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever you are. Once again, this is Frank. I am your host. This is the Revolutionary Repatriation Educational Lecture Series, aspect of WCC every Saturday or Sunday. Until Natasha and Inkumba can be back, I'm going to be flexible. I'm going to be here sometime Sunday, and I'm going to be here sometime Saturday. Now, not to waste your time, today's topic says, before the United Nations Human Rights Commission, or before the United Nations Human Rights Group leave Burkina Faso, before they leave Burkina Faso, they should tell Africans, they should tell Black people, they should tell us, the nations and the NGO, the nations and the NGO that are who are funding the terrorists in Africa. Folks, the United Nations Human Rights Commission or group in Burkina Faso have decided finally to close their head office or their office in Burkina Faso come November 30, 2026. The United Nations Human Rights Group have decided to close their head office or their office in Burkina Faso come November 30, 2026. You know, we have to remind these people, they can go to hell. They can go to hell. We have to, let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. For some of you who don't know, whenever these European nations and these European organizations are making decisions to leave Africa, let me tell you, let me say this. They are not doing it in good faith. Whenever these Western nations, these Western organizations, these Western NGO, right? Whenever they decide to leave the African continent, or whenever they make a decision, what other way they think that they want to live, right? They are not living in good faith. They are not living because they are living for the right thing. Let me say this. They are living because our eyes have opened. They are living because we are resisting them. They are living because we are exposing them. They are leaving because they are finding it difficult to exploit us. They are leaving because they are finding it difficult to convince us to lie to us. They are leaving because they are finding it difficult that they can no longer control us. They are leaving because they are finding it difficult that the black man is no longer saying yes, sir. They are leaving because we have decided we can no longer be obedient to the so-called master. They are not leaving because Africans are doing the wrong thing. No, they are leaving because we are taking our rightful place. They are leaving because we have seen what independence is. They are leaving because we have seen what freedom is. They are leaving because we are saying it is enough for the white man, for the European to tell African which direction they should go or we should go. They are leaving because we are telling them you have now been exposed. They are leaving because they know, we know now that they are the demons, the devil. That is why they are leaving. And that is why we should care less. Look, this is WCC, all right? Let me say this. You know, there are all, and let me give credit to most of the platform, to some of these content creators. I'm not saying they do not understand the subject. They do. But to some extent, sometimes when these Europeans make decisions, right? Some of these podcasts, right? Presenter, they do not really understand what is behind the scene. Let me say this. Sometimes we say these things, sometimes some people get in their feeling. Europe, the West, they don't love Africa. They don't love Africans. What they love is the resources. What they love is the resources. And that is what we are going to prove today. And that is why we don't care when these people say they are leaving. In fact, we should rejoice. We should be happy that they are leaving. But I will make this clear. Just because they are leaving, that doesn't mean they are done with us. No, we got to make this clear. Just because they are leaving, it don't mean they are done with us. They are leaving to regroup. Did you remember what they did to Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso? When they went to some of these so-called dumpy-ass African leaders and told them to wage war on Burkina Faso, to wage war on Mali, to wage war on Niger. And some of these stupid-ass and dumpy-ass African leaders agreed to Europe and America or Washington, D.C. to go and wage war. They were ready to mobilize the African army. I don't know if Africa, their army, I don't know, but they were ready to recruit Africans from various nations, from various African nations who said they were part of ECOWAS, so that they can get their support ammunition from the West to go and fight Niger. Just for Europe to have electricity, while Niger does not have electricity. And African leaders were mobilizing Africans to go and kill their own brothers and sisters. Just for France to have current, to have electricity because of their uranium, Niger uranium. Just for France to have gold because of the Burkina Faso gold. Just for France to have the Malian cuttings, the Malian gold, mineral resources, so that Europe or the Western world can live good with their economy booming. But the three nations collaborated and said, no, we have to be strong to wait for these so-called Negro that will come and fight us. And that's how those dumb African ECOWAS leaders back off. So we understand. We have read and we are still reading. If you read this book, How Europe Underdeveloped Africa by Walter Rooney, you will understand when the Europeans are talking about they are leaving Africa. You know what? They can even take their embassy from Africa, which of course we have spoken about it. And it's going to come a time, bit by bit, we are getting there. Bit by bit, we are getting there. These Western embassies in Africa, they are not there because of exchange of information. They are not there because they are working together. No. It is just the government of this nation, of that nation in your country. Okay? If they can have their NGOs, if they can have their organizations, if they can send a CIA, their FBI, whatsoever you think about to get information, why you think their embassies are there? Walter Rooney talked about it. When we were fighting for independence, even though we are not yet fully independent, but Walter Rooney said when we were fighting for independence, places that were developed, I don't want to say even developed, places that the European put their few developments so that they can attract our mineral resources whatsoever and things. When we were fighting for independent Africa, you know what the French did? You know what the European did? Places that were vigorous fighting, the European went and start destroying the roads. They start destroying the railroad. They start destroying hospital. Development that they put, they start destroying it. Development that they could not take back to Europe, they destroy it. Are these the people that will be leaving Africa and then will be trembling? No. The United Nations is leaving because the United Nations have been exposed. Whenever you see these Europeans talking about they are leaving Africa, they are not leaving because of good faith. They are leaving because they have been exposed. Now, let's read this first article. Let's read this first article. And then we're going to question this United Nations. You know, folks, we've been saying this. We've been saying this, that the African continent, we've been sending signal to the African leaders to leave the United Nations. The United Nations, it is a biased organization. The United Nations is not for African interests. Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. Let me say this. From our perspective, from our, what we know the United Nations to be a democratic institution, right? We know the United Nations to be a democratic, organization or entity, right? That means majority rule, right? Let's see this. If the United Nations is majority ruled, the last time we checked, a couple of weeks ago, when the Ghanaian president, John Mahama, His Excellency, came to the United Nations, what did he do? He presented to the United Nations that the greatest crime committed against human being, okay? The greatest crime committed against human being was the transatlantic slave trade. Out of all the nations in the world, 123 voted in favor that the transatlantic slave trade was the greatest crime against humanity, and that those that did it should pay reparation to the victims and the descendants of the victims. What happened? Out of 123 voted in favor, right? And then 3 veto it. The United States veto it, Asia veto it, and Argentina veto it. So if we live in a so-called democratic world, majority rule, 123 said yes, and then 3 said no, and the 3 won. And then if they now go as the greatest crime committed against human being, and no reparation paid to the descendant or to the victims. So the 123 vote wasted, and then 3 vote was accepted and it won. Let that sink in. Let that sink in, and we should stop wasting our time coming to the so-called United Nations. I said this before some years back. If Africa ever take her rightful place, her potential, that is African back home and African in the diaspora uniting, the United Nations would be useless. Because Africa have everything it takes. Africa does not depend on Europe, does not depend on America also, or North America. Under no circumstances. They depend on Africa. So you tell me, if Africa becomes solely dependent on itself and doing everything for itself, that is, we have our economic power, we have our military power, and we have our social power. And our social power includes decision making and the media. Dissemination of information, social power. The United Nations will be nothing. And let me say this. These Westerners or these Europeans, they are who they are because of our ignorance. They are who they are because of our stupidity. They are who they are because we fail to realize the reality. They are who they are because we fail to unite. Let's get to the article. Now, the United Nations, human rights. Oh God, you know, I love this generation. I love this generation. Even though we still have some bourgeoisie among us, even though we still have some puppets among us, but sometimes we can't blame them because 500 years of captivity, 500 years of mental slavery, bondage. It's not easy to be totally convinced of the demon in the house is the man you call your friend. The man you call your friends is the demon. It's hard to believe that, right? Okay. Even the Bible says it. You shall be sold unto your enemies. When you want food, you will go to your enemies. When you want clothes, you will go to your enemies. When you want drink, you will go to your enemies. And your enemy will enjoy the fruit of your land. And the fruit of your land are your resources. So who enjoy the resources of our land? So your enemies is not something under the ground or some kind of imaginary image that they put in book and say that's the devil, that's the demon. No. Demon, your enemy is the one who deceive you. Your enemy is the one who lied to you. That's what enemy is. That's what demon is. That's what devil is. All right. So Satan is not something that have their own play, come and whisper in your ear and do this. No, that's the Satan there. All right. The man who enslave you is your Satan, is your enemies. The man who colonize you and divided your continent into pieces and enjoy your resources is your enemies. The man that killed Thomas Sankara is your enemies. The man that killed Muammar Gaddafi is your enemies. The NATO that killed Gaddafi, that NATO is your enemies. That's the enemies that the Bible is talking about. The man that killed Patrick Lumumba is your enemies. The man that put Nelson Mandela in jail for 27 years, that's your enemies. The man that makes sure to overthrow Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, that's your enemies. The men that are making sure to assassinate Abraham Traore, that's your enemies. We got to make things clear here, folks. Let's read something. Burkina Faso, United Nations human rights to shut down country office. The United Nations human rights will be shutting down its office in November 30, 2026. But I read something here. Let's read, this is what during the time of slavery, during the time of colonization, the slave master refused to educate the black men. This book, The Life and Death of Frederick Douglass, I remember it vividly. I read it and I know what is in there. The Life and Death of Frederick Douglass. Frederick Douglass was one of the slaves that educated himself as he lived with the slave master. Let me just take you back to a little bit of history. Frederick Douglass did not know his father. Apparently, Frederick Douglass, his father was a slave master who raped the black woman. Because during that time, this slave master, like Thomas Jefferson, he was a slave master who had his own slave, right? He had about 300 to 400 slaves, particularly women, that he would have sex with, get them pregnant, right? And then when they gave birth, sell the baby. Thomas Jefferson made his money that way. Okay? Thomas Jefferson made his money that way. Thomas Jefferson. That's how he made his money. Okay? Now, so it could be Frederick Douglass could come from that line or that lineage or so, right? So he went from one slave master to another slave master because his mother was also on a plantation, because his mother kept being sold from one slave master to another slave master. So in that perspective, your child can't really live for you, because after the slave master, right, because you are a property. Okay, we speak in history. You are a property, right? So the slave master can get rid of you at any time. Another slave master buy you. They see when you sell your car. Somebody buy it. They use it. They get tired. They go sell it, right? Just like that. So Frederick Douglass kept living from slave master to another slave master. So it happened that Frederick Douglass went to this particular slave master. And the slave master had a wife and a child, a son. Read that book, The Life and Death of Frederick Douglass. It's about 100 pages, just few. Very good, right? And it was written by Frederick Douglass himself. Now, the wife of this slave master, white man, the wife had some kind of a feminine heart, okay? The slave master will go to work. The husband will go to work. The wife will stay home. And then the son, right? Their white son will go to school. Their white son will come back from school, okay? And Frederick Douglass in a house as a slave boy working, all right? So the wife of the slave master will take the notebook of the son, the slave master's son, and start teaching Frederick Douglass, okay? Because they couldn't send Frederick Douglass to school. It would never happen, okay? We're talking about the 1800 or around the 1600 or so, whatsoever, right? It would never happen, okay? Now, she kept doing it, teaching Frederick Douglass the son lesson. On this fateful day, the slave master came from work and met the wife teaching Frederick Douglass. And the slave master got angry with the wife. Now, the slave master did not get angry because he feared that but the wife teaching Frederick Douglass was bad. Okay? That was not the reason he was angry. The reason he was angry, he told the wife, the slave is not to be educated. Because if the slave is educated, listen to the reason. Folks, look, whenever these white people are talking about leaving Africa, rejoice. It means we are winning. I'm telling you. The slave master was not angry because the wife was teaching Frederick Douglass. That was not his reason or his concern. His concern that he gave, his reason that he gave to the wife in our book, The Life and Death of Frederick Douglass, in our book, the reason he gave to his wife was, if you educate the slave will get to know who the slave is. Listen to this. If you educate the slave will get to know who the slave is. He will get to know his power. Read that book, The Life and Death of Frederick Douglass. I'm not making a story. If you educate the slave, if the slave become educated, if the slave become aware, the slave will know his importance. The slave will know where he's supposed to be. The slave, and then he told the wife, the slave will know what we are doing against him, or what we are doing to him is against humanity. Read that book. That was what he said to the wife. If he educate Frederick Douglass, and in fact, he did not fetch Frederick Douglass. He said, if he educate the slave, and the slave become educated, the slave will know what we are doing to him is wrong. The slave will know what we are doing to him is against humanity. That was what the slave master said to his wife. And that was the reason he said we cannot educate the slave. So Africans, do you think the West will come and free you from a captivity that they are benefiting from, knowingly that if they educate you, if they free you, oh my God, what they are getting from you, they will not get it. Let's read something here. Let me not waste your time. But just to let you know, we have come far and we're still going far. Now, Geneva, the United Nations Human Rights Office, and we are going to ask this so-called United Nations Human Rights some technical question here. The United Nations Human Rights Office on Thursday announced plan to close its office in Burkina Faso by 30 November 2026. The announcement came 3 months after the authority suspended the office operation over a press release that called on them to upload savor peace. You know, let me say this. You know what? I will come back to this. Let me show a video here, right? Because according to them, the announcement came 3 months after the authorities suspended the office. That means the Burkina Faso, right? Suspended that the United Nations Human Rights Office operation, right? On a press release, right? On a press release that the human rights whosoever gave. Okay? That called them to uphold savor peace. Do you remember when that useless girl from Sudan that worked with the United Nations Human Rights, that went in Burkina Faso and did that to tarnish the government, for Africans to go against Burkina Faso, for Burkina Faso to go against Abraham Traoré, and that did not work? Look, folks, I said to you here, the United Nations Human Rights is closing its office not because, right, of a threat, not because the reason why they are closing it, right? They are no longer convincing us. We are no longer falling for those BS. Okay? We are no longer falling for it. We know that they are liars. We know they don't care for Africans' life. Okay? We know that as they have been alleged, they are the ones supporting the terrorists. Okay? And they know that we are exposing them 24/7. They know that we don't fall for those Western BS media or narrative again. We don't fall for it. Even our own people go and work for them and want to say anything contrary, we will go for our own people. They saw how we went for our own sister from Sudan, useless. So the truth is, we are no longer following their narrative. So no need for them to be there. That is what they are telling us. No need for them to be there. Listen to this, folks. We will come back to the article. Let me show you something here. Let me show you something here. Let me show you something here. We are ready for these people. We are ready for them. We don't care what they will say. We already know who they are now. Let me see here, folks. Hold on. Let me look for what I want here. Hold on. I'm gonna come back to that. We're gonna come back to that article. We got to finish that article. All right. We have to finish that article. Relax. All right. French media attack. Okay. Let's see. There's something right here. Let's see something here. See what this media did. Okay. And did you remember it came a time, right? Right? It came a time. Let me say this. It came a time. The same United Nations Human Rights came out with a story. Okay, came out with a story against the government, but at the same time praising the T group, the terrorist group. And they were saying the Burkina Faso army are unaliving Burkina Faso. They were saying the Burkina Faso army was unaliving the citizens of Burkina Faso. with no evidence. And then the government asks them, how can you come into our country and write a narrative or a story without getting our side? But you went to the terrorists and got the information from the terrorists and left out. And you believe the terrorists that we are killing Burkina Faso, we are killing our own citizens. And you got that information from the T group. And then you publish it. And that's how the so-called United Nations human rights got suspended. We spoke about that, if you can remember that story. And I know you do. I know you do. Oh, yes, I know you do. Okay? So, they got suspended. And Africans did not buy that story of the so-called human rights commission or group, whatsoever they call it. Because how can you go and buy by the country national army or the government and then go to the T group that the government is fighting and then get your information from the T group and then publish it that the government is killing innocent Burkina Faso more than the T group, when we are saying what's going on. And the United Nations did not do any investigation about the people who sponsor the terrorists. Even Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have accused France, have accused Western organizations, has accused Western nations, and they have come to the United Nations several times with their complaint of what is happening in the Sahel region. Who are the people or the nation or the organization funding the terrorists? The United Nations did not, in fact, the United Nations start to blame Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso and did not take the concern of the Sahel nation to look into consideration of these allegations. To the extent we have United States Congress alleging that these people are being funded by USAID, United Nations, human rights, did not come out with any article or do investigation. United States Congress have said it several times. Congressmen and women have said it several times about who support the T group. United Nations paid deaf ear. But they did some false report and the government threw them out. In fact, listen to this, folks. Let's listen to this.
Now, today's video is going to be a follow-up video to the one we dropped the other day entitled, "A French NGO Accuses Ibrahim Traoré of Information Warfare and Psychological Operations." Now, today's video is going to be a follow-up to that one. Now, I already gave my thoughts on the situation, but I actually came across the video of another content creator actually speaking on the same subject. And it seems to me that she was doing the same thing that I was doing, which was debunking the adversary. So I want to, react to her video and also give my commentary as well. Now, this is their TikTok, their social media. You can check them out. Now, keep in mind, they speak French, right? They're in the Francophone social media space, but I'm going to translate it to English and then I'm going to react. So essentially, if you saw the first video, what happened was there's a French NGO based in Paris and they conducted an investigation, right? Trying to figure out, why does Ibrahim Traoré enjoy the popular support that he receives? It must be some type of manipulation. It must be some type of shenanigans happening behind the scenes. And they came up with some magical story about some digital militia. Yes, this is what they called it. A digital militia, a digital army connected to the government, right? So anyway, let's go into that clip. They spoke about it on the French media. Then I'm going to go into the video of the content creator debunking it, destroying that. And I'm going to come back on my commentary. Let's go.
It is a digital swarm that was already known. There had already been investigations produced on this digital militia. What we did not know when we started is that it was targeting journalists. And we discovered it with the case of Yusra El Baguir, who was the victim of a digital raid following the broadcast of her documentary on Sky News. She had the luck and the opportunity to be able to go to Burkina Faso. She's one of the few foreign journalists who have done so in recent months. It is difficult to go to Burkina Faso right now, especially when you come from a foreign media outlet. And she was the victim of a real digital raid, hundreds of posts in just a few days. And so we started.
So you heard that she was a victim because, look, let's say this. They are saying, right? Basically, they are saying she became a victim because Africans did not fall for that lies. She became a victim because Africans did not believe her story. She became a victim because Africans stood behind Ibrahim Traore. She became a victim because worldwide Black people stood behind Ibrahim Traore. She became a victim because worldwide we call her puppet. We call her neo-colonialist. We call her someone who have taken a bait. She became a victim because we exposed her. That's why she became a victim. She became a victim because we told her, you are an African and you are working for these white people. Interest. That's how she became a victim. Basically, that is what she's saying here. She became a victim because we did not agree. And we exposed her. That's how she became a victim. She can go to hell and go 6 feet. And she will remain a victim on her 6 feet.
Looking into this story, and in fact we discovered while investigating that Yusra al-Baghir's case was not an exception at all, and that this militia had already targeted journalists in the past, including...
More seriously, have you followed the latest investigation by Reporters Without Borders? The one that desperately tried to explain where the massive support Ibrahim Traore enjoys online comes from. Before we go any further, you need to understand one thing. The real subject of this investigation is not Yusra al-Baghir. In reality, her case serves primarily as a pretext to inoculate a much broader idea. The idea that the massive support Ibrahim Traore enjoys on social media is not natural, but entirely orchestrated. That is the thesis that Reporters Without Borders is trying to impose on people's minds, and that deserves to be discussed. To start, Reporters Without Borders tells us they have identified a Burkinabe digital militia acting under a minister's authority to defend Ibrahim Traore. Very well, but where is the revelation? I mean, whether it is Israel, Russia, China.
And you see, folks, like I said, right? Like I said, they are leaving because we are no longer buying their narrative. We are not waiting for them or depending on them to bring out a narrative that we can believe. You see, in Burkina Faso, right? They have their own media that they believe in. And which, of course, it should be. In the US, they have their own media that they believe in. No matter what, they may have different platforms, different media, like CNN, ABC, BBC, ABC, whatsoever, DDDD. They will never say anything that would tarnish the image or the reputation of this country, the United States. And that go to France, 24. They will never say anything that will tarnish the image of France. And that go to England, even the BBC or the CNN, all of them. They will never, ever do it. Because in their mind, where would they go? If Great Britain is being tarnished, United States is being tarnished, France is being tarnished, where would they go? They have nowhere to go. That's their home. So the fact that we have our own media that we believe in, they don't like it. We don't believe in our BS again. So that is why they are leaving. They are leaving because they are guilty.
The United States, France, or Iran, all major powers today possess digital influence apparatuses. This is absolutely not a Burkinabe exception.
All right, we back. Now, this investigation was inspired because you had a journalist, a British Sudanese journalist, a black woman, and she was the face of this documentary by Sky News, the British media house. Of course, they tried to put a black face on it to make the propaganda, feel more acceptable. Or we're going to put a black woman as the face. But it was totally rejected by the community, right? It was a total disaster for the journalists. And in fact, even myself, I made a video during that time. Take a look up on the screen. Way back when that video got like 16,000 views. A journalist attacks Ibrahim Traore and gets major backlash. Now, I already gave my thoughts in the first video. When she went down to the country, she got a rare opportunity to go down to the country. Instead of going down to meet with the ladies, cultivating, the farmland and talking about the progress in agriculture, instead of going down to the factories, the new gold refinery that got inaugurated, she instead decided to go down to the garbage dump. She went down to the landfill, right? She grabbed the cameras, stood in front of the landfill, and was like, welcome to Burkina Faso, reporting live from Burkina Faso at the garbage dump, right? Essentially, right? And of course, that documentary was rejected by the community. And of course, because she decided to be the face of that documentary, because that's her day job. We understand you work for a big media company. You don't have the freedom of movement, the freedom of creativity to make certain decisions. You kind of have to operate within a space they give you. The work has to be approved by your editors and your superiors. We understand that you don't have the liberty and the freedom to really be a real journalist. You have to be a puppet. You got to be, you got to be an employee working for a company. So you have to do what the company says. You have to follow the objectives of the oligarchs at the company and your government's foreign policy. So because she wanted to be the face of that documentary, the face of Western interests, the face of Western propaganda, she took the majority of the backlash. Meanwhile, the oligarchs at the company are sitting back counting their money. Now, this inspired an investigation to be launched by this French organization, this French NGO, and they have come to the conclusion that President Ibrahim Traoré has a digital army, a digital militia that is operating under his authority, right? Things like that. Now, typical propaganda, typical conspiracy theory nonsense. Now, when it comes to me, and when I'm sure it comes to a lot of other people as well, it's just natural. It was just organic. When I made my video, I was just sharing my thoughts and giving my commentary. Nobody paid me to do it. I'm not on the government payroll. It's just organic. And going back to what the lady said in the video as well, when you look at any other nation around the world, all the major powers around the world, they all engage in what they call information warfare, psychological operations. In fact, the United States just last week, right? Just last week, not even 2 weeks ago, just announced that they have established a unit in the military dedicated to psychological operations against Africa, against the African continent. And nobody said a thing about it. Take a look up on the screen. The United States Army activated a new psychological operations unit focused on Africa called the Delta Company 7 Psychological Operation Battalion, nicknamed the Drongo. As you can see, usarmy.com. Army Special Operations activates a new psychological operations company at Fort Bragg. Formerly activated at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, the unit expands the military's capability to shape public perception and behavior in contested environments. The Drongo, that's the name of the PSYOP unit in the military, the Drongo Company, is actually named after an African bird. The Drongo bird mimics the alarm calls of other species to scare them away from their food and then swoops in to steal the meal for itself. It survives not by force, but by deception. The United States Army recently activated its first dedicated psychological operations company focused entirely on the African continent, and they named it the Drongo Company. So let's say that Captain President Ibrahim Traoré actually did have some type of digital infrastructure, some digital media infrastructure that was protecting his interests in the media space, countering hostile narratives against his government. Let's say that was the case. Let's say that's 100% true. So what? I repeat, so what? If the United States can do it, if the French can do it, if the Russians can do it, if the Chinese can do it, if the Israelis can do it, why can't the black men do it? Why can't we do it? So what if we doing it? Who gives a damn if we doing it? Damn right we doing it. Yeah, you damn right we doing it. Now, I'm not on the payroll. I just want to say that. But in the hypothetical scenario that this is actually true, I have no problem with that. I have zero problem with that. All the great powers of the world are engaged in this behavior. You would be a fool if you want to be relevant on the international stage. You would be a fool not to have your own digital media propaganda infrastructure. You would be a damn idiot not to do the same. The United States government launched a whole PSYOP company in the military against a whole continent, and we're not supposed to have our own counter narrative infrastructure to combat hostile narratives that go against our interests. So what if we doing it? Anyway, let's continue.
Moreover, this leads me to my first question. Why is it so hard for you to consider that Africans support Ibrahim Traoré out of pure conviction by embracing his vision, his actions, and what he represents for the continent's youth? Because if you felt it was necessary to launch an investigation, it is clearly because this mobilization around him seems suspicious to you. We can agree on that, right? But here is what you are missing. Take my case. I am not Burkinabe. I have never had any contact with the Burkinabe authority. I have received no instructions, no funding, and not the slightest privilege. And yet, here I am in front of this camera dismantling your investigation without Ibrahim Traore having to lift a finger. The second problem with your reasoning, which we are starting to get used to, is that every time Africans defend a position that does not fit your worldview, your first instinct is to look for who is manipulating them.
Now, that was an excellent point, right? The idea that that we don't have a mind of our own, right? Somebody must always be leading us. You hear this narrative come up when they talk about the Russians, right? Now, in this case, they say, oh, the government of Burkina Faso is the one manipulating the narrative, manipulating the people. But usually they say it's the Russians doing it. It's the Chinese doing it. These people don't have a mind of their own. They don't have the ability to critically think and analyze the world for themselves and come to the conclusion on what their interests are and actually defend those positions in an articulate and intelligent manner, right? We don't possess those abilities according to them. It must always be the work of somebody else. It must be the work of some secret shadowy organization behind the government. It must be because of the Russians. It must be because of the Chinese. It must be because of somebody else. It's not just the black man or the black woman coming to their own conclusion and defending their own interests. No, they don't have that ability according to them. So it must be somebody else that's leading them. It must be somebody else that's giving them the instructions, right? It must be the Russians. It must be the digital militia, the digital army connected to the government. It's always some shadowy figure. It's never just our own personal, beliefs, our own interests that we're defending, right? It couldn't be that. It could never be that.
When millions of Europeans and Americans support a political leader, we call it democracy, public opinion, or even freedom of belief. But when the majority of Africans support a leader like Ibrahim Traore, and more broadly, the leaders of the Alliance of Sahel States, the only question that comes up is who is manipulating them? As if we were inherently incapable of thinking and making choices for ourselves. Let us now turn to your alleged victims, since your investigation is essentially based on them. You talked to us about the so-called harassment that journalist Yusra El-Bagir allegedly suffered. But in your statement of facts, why do you omit to specify that her report was a biased indictment against Burkina Faso's efforts in its fight against terrorism and for its sovereignty? There was nothing of a neutral, balanced, and factual journalistic work in it. Because if these journalists had presented both the immense security and economic challenges of the country and the colossal efforts made by the state fairly, do you think the reactions would have been the same? So you want us to believe that a journalist can arrive in a country at war, only cover what suits their narrative, ignore everything else, and the citizens of that country should just stay silent and applaud, right? Unfortunately, we have become accustomed to the absurdity of seeing channels like France 24, TV5 Monday, and other major media outlets regularly giving a platform to spokespeople for terrorist groups that massacre populations and attack our states. Just imagine for a moment if a Malian or Burkinabe television station invited the perpetrators of the Bataclan attacks to calmly come and explain their demands in the name of pluralism.
Now, she mentioned something very excellent. She mentioned the fact that we talked about it before many times on the channel, right? The April 25th, 2026 terrorist attacks that occurred in Mali, and how within 48 hours, the spokesperson for the terrorist groups was over in Paris, over in France, making the rounds, doing interviews in the media, doing interviews on the state broadcaster, on the government media, right? He just committed an act of terrorism 48 hours ago. The minister of defense got killed and his whole family. And here he is in France, not in jail, but on the media, in the government building, answering questions about his next move, the next attacks. What do you plan to do next? Who are you going to attack next? Who are you going to kill next? But that's totally normal. That's totally fine. But if we establish our own infrastructure, our own digital media infrastructure to counter the hostile propaganda, all of a sudden you have to launch an investigation. We have to go see what's happening behind the scenes. But when these same governments engage in these same behaviors, information warfare, et cetera, nobody says anything. Nobody does anything. I even asked the question on the first video. I asked the director of this organization, how come you're not writing an article about your own country, your own government, your own military, your own intelligence services engaging in these same exact behaviors? Why is that not a topic of discussion? Why are you going all the way to Burkina Faso? You far away, thousands of miles away, all the way in Paris. You all the way in West Africa conducting investigations. Why? And how come instead of talking about the United States recently initiating their own psychological operations campaign against the continent, you instead want to focus on what you allege that President Ibrahim Traore is doing? And like I said before, I have no problem if he's doing it. If he's doing it, salute to him. That's genius, because if our enemies are doing it, you damn right we better do it. But at the same time, like I said in the last video, and like she said in this video, a lot of that stuff is really organic, right? What they got to come to terms with is a lot of it is organic. They believe that we're engaging in psychological operations. That's because they engage in psychological operations. That's because they don't know what it's like to have the true, authentic love for the people, right? All they know is steal. All they know is lie. All they know is rob. All they know is crime. So they don't know what it's like to have the authentic love for the people, because they're always engaged in some underhanded behavior, screwing somebody over, messing somebody over. So they don't know what authentic love is like. People really authentically having love for you because you're a genuine person, right? They don't know what it's like because they're not genuine people, right? They're slimy people. They're corrupt people. They're shady people. They're mischievous Machiavellian people. They're not good people. So they don't know what it's like to have genuine love. So they think that if somebody's getting genuine love, it must be because they're engaging in some underhanded, shifty behavior, because that's what they do. Every projection, every accusation is a confession. Everything when it comes to them, a lot of it is projection. But listen, man, I'm not going to say too much. I said my piece in the first video.
All right. Thank you, brother, for that explanation and sister. So as you can see, right? So that's the whole narrative there behind the so-called United Nations Human Rights Group taking their office from Burkina Faso. You know what? If they like, they can take their office from the entire African continent. We will be so glad. We will be so glad if the United Nations, right? Not just the United Nations, how they call it, human rights, whatsoever and thing. They can leave. In fact, we want to ask, okay, let's read this article quick. Let me just go through the article quick because we have a couple of questions to ask them. Okay, let's just read the article quick. But I mean, as you can see already, right? So you see the narrative. So this is what the United Nations said, or this is what they said. I deeply regret the Burkinabe authority decision indefinitely suspending our in-country operation, and that intensive engagement with the authority since has not resolved the matter. How will it resolve? When you behind the scene doing all kind of crooked things, giving all kind of false narrative. This has directly affected our ability to implement our mandate and ultimately necessitate, right, my decision to win down the country presence. No, you're not going to win up. Say Human Rights Commission for Human Rights Vocal Talk, right? Now, despite the closure, my office and I remain committed to continue. No, don't continue. Leave. Okay? My office and I remain committed to continue supporting and operating with the government, national institution, civil society, and other stakeholders. No, we don't even want your stakeholder. Your stakeholder are the people who have been alleged. They are the ones supporting the T group, the terrorists. Okay? Stakeholder to keep promoting and protecting human rights. No, you're not supporting no damn human rights in Burkina Faso. Okay? Because you have never looked into the allegation of Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso that they took to the United Nations. You have never looked into it. They told you France is supporting the T group in Africa, in Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. You said nothing. United States Congress, men and women, told you USAID support the Boko Haram, the ISIS, the T group in Africa. You said nothing. Let's take this out. You know what? Let's take this out. Let's see another stuff here. Now, we want to ask the so-called United Nations Human Rights or whatsoever they call themselves. We want to ask them question. Okay? We want to ask them question.
African Diaspora News Channel app now on Google Play and Apple App Store. Stay informed with authentic and diverse perspectives, breaking news, and cultural insights. Immerse yourself in a community that celebrates unity, resilience, and progress. Experience the vibrancy of the diaspora at your fingertips. Don't miss out.
Who, if anyone, is supporting them. My name is Naledi Pula, and it is my absolute pleasure to welcome you to the latest edition of the African Diaspora News Channel, where we unravel the stories that shape our world and our community. Now, this question was recently raised by Nigerian General Christopher Musa after captured Boko Haram fighters were found in possession of large sums of hard currency. Now, this isn't a random occurrence, but when we look at the level of organization and logistics required to maintain a violent campaign for 15 years, it becomes clear that we're not dealing with a ragtail Natalia or a...
Folks, look at the kind of weapon. These are terrorists, right? Look at the weapons that these terrorists have. Africa is not making such weapons. No, Africa is not making such weapons. Yes, Africa made weapons, but not like these, how they call it, heavy equipment. We have not yet reached there. But see these weapons, these are foreign-made weapons. Look at them. The army or the national, the state or the nation army do not have these things. If they have it, they have to go outside and purchase it. Okay? But this is why Abraham Traoré or Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso are saying to the United Nations, who are the people sponsoring these people? Where are these weapons going? Where are they coming from? How did they enter the country? And that is what Abraham is saying. We don't want foreign organization, because in Africa, these foreign organizations, right? In fact, they gave them all rights. You can never search them. Okay? Even it baffles me to the extent we have foreign military bases in Africa. With the foreign military in Africa, you don't search them. They can carry their army ammunition and give it to the terrorists. Nobody care. They can kidnap someone and have that person in a tent carrying it. Nobody care, because you don't search them. These are terrorists. Look at the kind of weapon they have. Where is the investigation of the United Nations human rights? A complaint was taken to you by the Shahidi nation. Complaint was taken to you. United States Congress have said USAID support terrorists. The Nigerian army said the Malaysian Sans Frontier support terrorists. These are all allegations that have been brought to you. United Nations human rights. Why didn't you say a journalist? Why have you not come out with reports? Why didn't you say a journalist to come to the United States Congress to ask the United States Congress or USAID or those Congressmen and women that have said American taxpayers support terrorists?
Group of disorganized rebels? No. The scale of Boko Haram's operations suggests a deeper, more complex network of support. So where's this money coming from, and who is behind it?
We've seen Boko Haram regroup, and regroup. What is your answer to that? That you have in some way fed the insurgents?
The problem is that I think we've talked to international community. Let's find out the funding. When they started surrendering, by the time we left, so as we speak, we have over 120,000 that have surrendered. Most of them, when you find them, they are coming with hard currencies. How did they get them? How are they funded? How did they get the training? How did they get the equipment?
What is your suspicion?
Well, maybe an international conspiracy. You don't know. Who knows? How are they be able to sustain themselves for 15 years? That is one question I think everybody should ask himself. For Nigeria to be able to hold them, and you go to Nigeria, everything looks...
Now, he also said, these terrorist groups are coming with hard currency. The hard currency is not talking about local currency. This is international currency, like the United States dollar, like the CFA, like pound. Okay? How are these people getting these international hard currency? Where? Who taking it to them?
To be working well.
You must have an idea. I mean, let's not talk about international conspiracy theories. Let's give some hard facts.
Well, I just leave it at that. I'm sure they know, and I'm sure everybody knows that these are the challenges we're facing that needs to be addressed. So the UN need to come in to ensure that, because we need to trace the funding. How are
This is a Nigerian journalist, general speaking. The United Nations need to come in because, yeah, they are the human rights organization or investigator, right? This is a Nigerian general saying the terrorists, the Boko Haram, the ISIS, they get their funding somewhere because they come with heavy equipment that even the national army do not have. They come with high foreign currency. Where are they getting it from? And he said, no, there should be some international hand behind it. Now, this is why we need a United Nations to come in to do investigation. Where is that United Nations investigation? You know why? Because it's African. They don't care about you. It's African. They don't care. Why would they want to come and do investigation when they have been alleged that they are the one doing it? So why would they want to come and expose themselves? Let's continue.
They're sustaining themselves for 15 years.
What does the UN coming in mean? What does that look like?
Track the funding. It's international flow. We don't have control over that.
Whose interest is it to see?
So you heard the Nigerian, how they call it, general. It is an international flow. So the United Nations Human Rights Investigation need to come in to track the flow of weapons, the flow of foreign dollar, foreign capitals. It is international funding, he said. Where have been the United Nations to come in? They don't care because you are a black man. They don't care about you. And they will never care about you. The United Nations was never funded for Africans. It was funded to in fact, oh my God. Have the United Nations solved the issue of DRC Congo? The United Nations herself was involved, it is involved in the exploitation of the mineral in DRC Congo. Oh, we saw that. We reported that on that. Okay, few years back. A United Nations truck had an accident where this United Nations trucks was carrying huge mineral, and it turned over, it flipped over, it fell, and the mineral in the car in the United Nations truck floated around. And as it was reported, just that truck alone, the mineral that was in that truck alone, it was worth over $300 billion. Just a single truck that flipped over with the resources falling over, right? The resources, as it was estimated, worth over $300 billion. So imagine how long the United Nations have been in DRC Congo looting. So the United Nations herself is part of the issue of Africa. So why would they want to come and do investigation? So here is the general telling the United Nations to come in. But they will not come in because it is not Ukraine. They will not come in because it is not a white man land. It is an African land. And that is why Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have seen the reality. And that is why the people of Mali and Niger and Burkina Faso are saying we support our leader. And that is why there have been numerous coup attempts against the Shahedan leader. It have never worked. And that is why they killed the Malian general by the support of foreign power, by the support of foreign nations, as they have been alleged. But the Malians said, we will stand with our army and with the little army ammunition we have and with those who will support us to fight. The Western nations are against the freedom of the African continent, the freedom of black independence. So when the United Nations is leaving, Who cares? In fact, we want them to leave the African continent. They are the problem to our situation.
Nigeria destabilized?
Well, I don't know. You don't know. Your guess is as good as mine.
Now, if we take a step back and look at the broader context here, the history of terrorism in Africa shows us that foreign interference has played quite a significant role, which a prime example is the Sahel crisis, which took root in the chaos that followed the 2011 NATO-backed intervention in Libya. Muammar Gaddafi, a man who was often seen as a pan-African icon, was overthrown by forces armed and funded by Western powers. After the dust settled, those same forces, if well equipped and financed, trickled south into the Sahel, sparking what we now call the epicenter of terrorism in Africa. And countries like Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, which were once peaceful, have become battlegrounds for armed groups. Let's watch this video.
And then Obama killed Gaddafi. And then nothing has happened. We're here today with Libya being destroyed and unable to recover because of America. We know very well that where NATO gets involved, those are terrorists. We know very well where the US says we're going in to install peace. That place will never know peace as long as America has visited that place.
And I hope everyone is aware that we are no longer in a war on terrorism, but in a war of independence. Everyone must understand that it is a strategy for the imperialists to impose this war on us. Normally, every leader, every ruler should fight for the country. It's a strategy. They fight for their interests, and we must also fight for our interests. If we manage to develop, to prosper, it means that over there, they will not be able to develop. They will have to regress. If we manage to transform our raw materials tomorrow, it means that over there, factories will close. Do you understand the logic? So it's normal that they fight to disrupt our society, to keep it in this constant war, so that we can never think about developing one day. And then they will continue to develop, while we will still be here, exporting our raw materials to them and our youth, suffering in poverty, trying to cross the ocean, to go beg over there. They always take examples. They will tell us, Thomas Sankara tried to do it like this, but where is he? He is dead. The Haitian president, he tried to do it like this. Where is he? He is dead. Gaddafi tried like this. Where is he? He is dead. These are the veiled statements made to us to instill fear. If we remain in this posture of fear, we will be cowards, and history will judge us. Our children will ask questions. Our grandchildren will ask questions. We are writing history. There is no room for cowardice.
But it doesn't even end there. As an African, it is deeply troubling to witness how foreign powers have repeatedly played a role in destabilizing our continent. Whether it's the West's support for forces in Libya, these foreign interventions have created lasting chaos. And what's even more concerning is the possibility that some of these powers continue to support extremist groups in Africa, whether directly or indirectly. In fact, there's a growing body of evidence that suggests this. Take the example of Mali, where the government directly accused France of violating Malian airspace and delivering weapons to armed groups in 2022. This wasn't just a one-off accusation. It was actually part of a pattern that points to a far more complex web of support for terrorism. Now, I think the real question is, who is funding this, and why does it continue to thrive despite the massive international efforts to counter it? It's impossible to deny the external forces, if you ask me, whether it's the governments, the organizations, or even private sectors. They have actually played a huge role in enabling these groups. And it could be through direct financing, armed deals, or covert support. Whatever the method, the fact remains that Boko Haram's longevity and strength can't be explained by local resources alone.
Who gets some of that money? Does that name ring a bell to anybody in the room? Because your money, $697 million annually, plus the shipments of cash funds madrasas, ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Boko Haram, ISIS Khorasan, terrorist training camps. That's what it's funding. If you think that the program under Operation Enduring Sentinel entitled Women's Scholarship Endowment, which receives $60 million annually, or the Young Women Lead, which gets about $5 million annually, is going to women who, by the way, if you read the Inspector General's report, is telling you that the Taliban does not allow women to speak in public. Yet somehow you're believing, and American people are supposed to believe, that this money is going for the betterment of the women in Afghanistan. It is not. You are funding terrorism, and it's coming through USAID. And it's not just Afghanistan, because Pakistan's right next door. USAID spent $840 million in the last 20 years on Pakistan's education-related program. It includes $136 million to build 120 schools, of which there is zero evidence that any of them were built. Why would there be any evidence? The Inspector General can't get in to see them. But you know what? We doubled down and spent $20 million from USAID to create educational television programs for children unable to attend the physical school. Yeah, they can't attend it because it doesn't exist. You paid for it. Somebody else got the money. You are paying for terrorism. This has got to end. I yield, Mr. Chairman.
But Africa is waking up. We are starting to recognize the forces at play and demand accountability. Leaders like Traore are opening our eyes more and more. And so we cannot continue to allow our land, our people, and our future to be used as pawns in a global game of power. African countries must work together, and not just to fight terrorism, but to uncover and dismantle the networks that enable it. Like Traore said, we owe it to ourselves, and most importantly, to our children, to uncover the truth. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, so where is that so-called United Nations human rights group talking about leaving Burkina Faso because the Burkinabe army or the Burkinabe government, suspended them for news that they reported? So you see the narrative that they are still carrying. What these people fail to realize is we no longer have the time. Maybe they know, but they're pretending, because they are always pretending to African people. They are always pretending to Black people. They always pretend. They might know, but they always pretend that they do not know what we are speaking about. They always pretend that they do not know what we are talking about. They always pretend that they do not understand our interest. But they understand, they know, but they always pretend, because our interest will never favor them. That is why they always pretend. But let's hear from one of our sisters, what she got to say.
So I'm going to say this right quick, as nice as I can. I'm going to say this to the haters of the Sahel region. The haters, the jealousy, the ones that they cannot, everything that Ibrahim Traore have done, they cannot do it because they don't have no balls to do it. The ones that wear pants, they call themselves men, and yet they are women. Even some women say better than them. I'm talking about the so-called democracy presidents. The ones that have been in power for 20 years, 10 years, 40 years, they cannot tie one road. All of the haters of Ibrahim Traore, get this onto your head. Ibrahim Traore will not step down for nobody. We, the continent, the citizens of the continent, have put Ibrahim Traore where he is, and nobody will remove him. Anybody trying rubbish about Ibrahim Traore or the president of Mali, Assimi Goïta, and the president of Guinea, president of Niger. Anyone messing around with the Sahel region, hey, you wouldn't have to go through all of us. You will go through all of us. We will fight to protect the Sahel presidents. We will fight to protect them. We will fight. We will do anything to protect them. And you guys, if anything happened to any of those presidents, one strand of hair removed from their head, there will be no Africa, because we burn it down. And those of you that have laundered our money to go and buy houses in abroad, thinking that when you commit crime in Africa that you will run to your abroad, we will look for you and we will find you and your entire family. Hey, you guys don't know the Africans that you are dealing with right now. I don't think you guys know the Africans that you are dealing with right now. I will advise you guys to sit down and study the Africans that you are dealing with right now, because we have heard these stories before. Gaddafi. Right? Let's talk about Libya. You all said the same story about Gaddafi. Gaddafi have healthcare, free healthcare for his people, free education for his people, free housing for his people. But yes, your so-called useless ECOWAS, Africa Union, stand by. They fold their hands and let them take Gaddafi down. You're trying to do the same thing in the Sahel region. Hey, you will kill us all. Whoever trying to do anything bad to Ibrahim Traore or any of the president of the Sahel region, be ready to kill us all. Be ready to kill us all. Be ready to kill us all. Because this is a war. Because we will protect Ibrahim Traore with our lives. We will fight beside him. We are supporting him 200%. And if I advise you, either you join him now or you get out of the way, because we will look for you. We will look for your entire family. We will look for you. We will look for you. And we will find you. So I'm going to say this right quick, as nice as I can. I'm going to say this to the haters of the Sahel region. The haters, the jealousy, the ones that they cannot, everything that Ibrahim Traore have done, they cannot do because they don't have no balls to do it. The ones that wear pants, they call themselves men, and yet they are women. Even some women say better than them. I'm talking about the so-called democracy presidents. The ones that have been in power for 20 years, 10 years, 40 years, they cannot tie one road. All of the haters of Ibrahim Traore, get this onto your head. Ibrahim Traore will not step down for nobody. We, the continent, the citizens of the continent have put Ibrahim Traore where he is. And nobody will remove him. Anybody trying rubbish about Ibrahim Traore or the president of Mali, Assimi Goïta, and the president of Guinea, president of Niger. Anyone messing around with the Sahel region, hey, you wouldn't have to go through all of us. You will go through all of us. We will fight to protect the Sahel presidents. We will fight to protect them.
The sister has spoken. I'm not going to say much. That's the kind of African you are dealing with now. Let me say this. This is not to say our forefathers did not fight, right? They fought. And I'm not going to be part of those people who says our forefathers did not fight, did not do this. No. We will not be in the same position when we are gone for the next generation to come and say our forefather did not fight, how they call it, fight, right? It will not happen. We will fight, like the lady said. ECWA and AU, the last president that was killed, that was unalive by the United States and her NATO nation and her European nation, the last African leader that was unalive is Gaddafi, or was Gaddafi. No African leader will be unalive again. No African leader will be unalive again but the United States and Europe, because it was the United States and Europe that killed Gaddafi, that unalive Gaddafi, for stupidity of their interests against our interests. And ECOWAS and AU sat down and watched. So AU and ECOWAS, there's a warning to you people. Before we can speak against the US and Europe for taking down another African leader, before we do that, we will make sure all the ECOWAS leader go 6 feet and all the AU leader go 6 feet. Because when we are doing it to our own people, then the United States and Europe will know that it is serious. Because when we are doing it to our own leaders, our own government, then Europe and the United States will understand that indeed this is serious. Because if they are doing it to their own people, then that means we should get ready. They are coming for us. So we will not leave those so-called democratic leaders who will sit and watch the US go and kill another African leader, or Europe go and kill another African leader right before our eyes. We will be coming for you people one by one. Because at this point, the United States does not have the audacity to tell African the best leader for them. At this time, Europe does not have that audacity to tell African the best leader for them. Because history has taught us all of our best leaders that we have, the United States did not like them. History has taught us all of our best leaders that we have, Europe did not like them. And history has taught us all of Africa bad leader, dictator, the United States love them. History has taught us all of Africa dictator, bad leaders, Europe love them. So that is why the United States does not have any moral right to tell African what leader is good for them. That is why Europe does not have any moral right to tell African what leader is good or best for them. There is no morality in the United States, and there is no morality in Europe when it comes to leadership about Africa. Let African people decide for themselves. You know, I said this here before, and I'm going to say it again. A hint is why should be quite sufficient. United States, if you want to benefit, oh my God, I decided not to talk about this, but I will say it again because it came back, it keep coming. United States, Washington, D.C., if you still want to have some benefit from Africa, desist from what you are doing, desist from what you have been doing, desist from your old colonial mentality, and that go to Europe. If you guys don't want to suffer, because I see it coming, man. I see it coming. If you guys don't want to suffer, take different approach towards Africa. Listen to the African masses, like what is happening in Mali and Niger and Burkina Faso. Don't even try it to say you want to go. I'm holding my ear because I want you to listen and listen very well. Don't even try it to say you're going to kill any of the Sahelian leader like how you kill Gaddafi. I'm talking to Washington, D.C. Don't try it to say you are going to unalive any of those leaders, like how you killed Gaddafi, like how you partook in the death of Patrick Lumumba, how you partook in the death of Thomas Sankara, how you partook in the death of Amilcar Cabral. The list goes on. Don't try it. And don't even try it to say you're going to put sanction on them, because you'll be exposing yourself. You'll be getting more hater. You will be making a continent to hate you more. Because you know what? The people of Africa now, these days, nowadays, their eyes are open now. They can read. They don't have to wait for your media, your propaganda media, to come and tell them what you want them to understand. Take different approach. Leave Africa, let Africa do her thing. And you can still go and beg Africa. I understand you do not have the nature of begging. I understand you are violent. You have the nature of violent. You don't beg. You don't negotiate. You don't ask. But not all the time you succeed. Not all the time you succeed. I leave that right there. So, to the United Nations, human rights, what are the investigations that you have done after we have accused or have been alleged of Western influence? United Nations human rights. What is that? Where is that investigation that you did about Libya? Because it's not there. Numerous African leaders have gone to the United Nations. Some private groups have gone to the United Nations about the death of Gaddafi, to prosecute Washington, D.C., to prosecute NATO. You did nothing. Folks, look at Sudan. You know, this lady that called Yuslo, that worked for Sky News, a BBC outlet, who went to Burkina Faso and went and did that dirty report of the documentary. This is Sudan. This is her home country, Sudan. This is her home country, Sudan. I'm about to show you. And what I'm about to show you, it is alleged that these ammunition that you're about to see came from outside Sudan and entered Sudan for the T group. These are areas that the T group, the terrorist group, all right, based in Sudan. But the National Army entered them and drove them away and seized the ammunition. But see what the terrorist group have that the army does not have. Useless. This is your home country. You're supposed to go here and do your documentary, then to go to Burkina Faso. Let's continue. United Nations, this is Africa, and the T group have all these modern weapons.
Sudanese forces, boom, check this out. They captured an entire stockpile of weapons from UAE for the RSF. Look at this shit. This is just one room. There's more, you'll see. This is just ammo. This is just ammo. And then there's more. They're going to take you, they're going to show you another room. This is crazy. All of this is funded by UAE. So while these guys are fighting, they're stealing their resources. Look at RPGs and machine guns and shit. Look at fresh, brand new weapons from UAE. Everyone knows UAE, Dubai, and black people will never stop going to Dubai. Because black people will never stop wearing grills, will never stop wearing chains. This is where it comes from. This. When I had, hey God, black people, I don't get it. Look at this. Look at all this stockpile of weapons and ammo snatched by the Sudanese military. This is the Sudanese military right here. Insane. We know this, but yet we continue fucking with and supporting the people that continually fuck us, fuck our cousins, fuck our brothers. What is wrong with there's parts of me that feel like, you know what? Africans absolutely genuinely deserve to get wiped out. When I die my natural death, if I don't have children, they should kill every African. Because all of this I'm doing, I don't know, man.
So, folks, what I'm about to show you, right? This is one of the reasons the United Nations Human Rights is taking its office from Burkina Faso. This is one of the reasons. Because we are not allowing them to have the cake as they used to have it. Because we are saying what belongs to us, it belongs to us. It does not belong to Europe and America. It does not belong to the colonizer. It does not belong to the enslaver.
They walked off the water with the books in their hand, saying, show us the rivers, please show us the land. And we, with the hearts of the warm summer sun, we welcome the strangers, we didn't see the gun.
So as you listen to the music, right? We are no longer welcoming them like how we welcomed them when they came. We are no longer giving them that hospitality like how we first gave them that hospitality. We are no longer carrying them to our secret places, showing places to them, telling them our goal, our damo, our day, even though to some African country, they are still doing it. This bourgeoisie country, this democratic nation. But Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso, so to speak, are no longer taking them to the mine. In fact, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are now taking the mine. In fact, Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have their own gold reserve. Democratic nation in Africa does not have gold reserve. Undemocratic nation in Africa are the one that have the gold reserve. They are angry because the Mali, the Niger, the Burkinabe gold are no longer going to Europe and France, are no longer going to the Buckingham Palace, are no longer going to the France, I don't know how they call it, museum, whatsoever. No. The uranium reserve is still in Niger. The gold reserve stayed in Burkina Faso. The gold reserve stayed in Mali. That is why they are angry. So the Malians are no longer welcoming and shaking hands with them. No, Burkina Faso said no, Niger so no. Niger, Mali, and Burkina Faso have recognized that the West have been the issue to the African continent. Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso have recognized that you came, we welcome you, but you enslaved or you came back and divided our continent. And especially you, France, you call it the French assimilation. You say we should not even practice none of our culture because culture bring identity. Culture bring unity. Because it is part of communication. You taught our only to speak French, that's it. And not our local languages. Because our local languages gave us a sense of purpose. And now Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are saying we have to learn our own language and forgo the French English language. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso are saying we have to use our own currency and forgo the French currency. Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso are saying our national reserve cannot be in France, it should be in Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso. The Sahel nation are saying our military uniform cannot come from France, it should come from Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso with our own country cloth that we can sew, we can manufacture here. And that is what Burkina Faso have done. That is why they are angry. The mine, the mineral have been taken from France, from Europe, from America, from England. And now it is being controlled by black people. That is why they are angry. No, Mali, Niger, Burkina Faso this time are on the table. It is not Europe and America sitting on the table like the video you see over there. No, this time around it is Africans who are sitting on the table. And that is why the European nations are angry. Washington, D.C. is angry. And you guys will be angry for a very long time. And time indefinite. You will be angry.
They wrote in their diaries, they measured the stone, they smiled at our children, they sat in our home. We offered them water, we offered them bread, but they were counting the gold underneath where we tread. It was psychological warfare, dressed up as a friend. The beginning of a story we didn't know then. The explorer mapped the mountain and the mineral. The missionary mapped the spirit and the mind. The merchant mapped the market and the capital, and left the freedom of our fathers far behind. They told us, look up to the heavens, let your worries fade. While they were down in the dirt, taking everything we made, they said, turn the other cheek, wait for the promised land. We closed our eyes to pray, and they stole the sand. No, the ancestors didn't fail, they were ambushed by grace. They brought a war in a smile to a peaceful place. Before we could even say amen, the chains were already on the wrists of the men.
Now, I have a short video here. Let me show you something here. Let me show something here. Let me show something here. Okay? Africans need to wake up. Black people need to wake up. All right? This is foreign policy. This is what they want on the African continent. And if they can get this, look, I said it here before, right? And I'm saying this again. The truth is, as people may not want to hear it, it is not the intention of Washington, D.C. for Africa to develop. No day. It is not the intention of Washington, D.C. for Africa to be independent, to be self-dependent. Without the influence of Washington, D.C., it is not the aim. And that also not the aim of Europe. I mean, all these colonizers and enslavers, right? It is not their aim for these things to happen. Their aim here is if Africa is to develop, it should be on their watch and their direction and their control.
Are Iran and Russia our enemies because they're more evil than our allies?
Any country that doesn't do what we want them to do, that's an enemy. That is.
Any country that doesn't do what we want them to do, because the journalists try to limit it to Iran. Iran is not my concern. Iran can defend herself. And we've been saying it here, we will say it again. This video is not in defense of Iran. So the journalists wanted to limit it to Iran. And the guy who has been interviewed said, trying to tell him, look, forget about Iran. Any country. So what that means is, Washington, D.C. might have wanted something, or either wanted something, maybe wanted Iran to do something, right? Iran to be the puppet, Iran to say yes, sir, Iran to say master. But Iran didn't do it. Listen to what the guy who has been interviewed said. Look, listen, any country that does not do what the U.S. wants, any country that does not do what the U.S. policies say in our country, you automatically become our enemy. It doesn't mean, no, they don't care whether you are a democratic nation. So, like democracy, like need democracy, throw it out of the window, shit on it, pee on it, and trash it and burn it. They don't care if you are a democratic nation or not. They don't care. Because the U.S. herself actually do not practice democracy. They select their leader. They don't elect leader. They select leader. They already know who is to become the next president. As we speak right now, the United States already know who going to succeed Donald Trump. And who going to succeed, it is that person they're going to sell to the public. Oh my God. I don't even understand how U.S. democracy works. It is that person they're going to sell to the public. And then, if they sell that person, the public obviously go and vote for that person. And then you think it's democracy. If they don't like you, if you're not the one they want, they will never sell you. That is not democracy. They already know who is to become the next president of the United States of America. You like it, you want to go left, you want to go right, you want to go north, you want to go south, it's up to you. They already know. And by the time that time is coming to election, you're going to see on various media, they will start discussing it, but you will never know that they are trying to sell a specific candidate. But they will sell that person. They will talk about that person because money will be pumped into those journalists, into those news media to sell. You see, it's just like when you are a musician, right? Pay attention. When you are a musician, you come out with an album. You think the music that is being played on various radio stations is for free? No. Your music being played on various radio stations is not free. Those radio stations, those media have been paid by that person who made that music and want for his or her music to be promoted. And they will play that music over and over and over. Even if you don't like it, you will gradually begin to love it or to like that music. Because if you turn your car on, that's the music you're going to hear. You like it or not, that's why you will hear. You flip to another channel, you like it or not, that's why you will hear. You flip it, you like it or not, that's why you will hear. And gradually, you will fall in love with the music. And you will like it. And you will now start liking that musician. And then anytime you hear that musician, you will follow that musician. Because you have been listening to it, so you will now go and look for that musician and become a follower. That's how the United States democracy works. They already know who's going to succeed Donald Trump. And by the time that time is coming, they are going to sell that person to you. That's how they do it. They know who is to become the next president. Okay? So forget about that democracy. The United States does not care if you practice democracy or not. So let me ask you, what is happening in Cameroon? Do you call that democracy? What is happening in Cameroon? Paul Biya been in power for almost or over 50 years. Paul Biya. And every time election is being rigged. But why is the US not talking? Why the European, they're not talking? You call that democracy? But because Paul Biya protect their policy, their foreign interest. You see, let me say that. Let me backfire. Let me remind you again. You see Uganda, right? Yoweri Museveni. Bobby Wine. Oh, Bobby Wine, my little brother or my big brother, whatsoever the situation, what I'm ordering you or not. But Bobby Wine, my brother. Oh, God. I told you one time before on this platform, a couple of years back, when you went to Europe to ask them for recognition, for you to be recognized, for them to sell you. Oh my God. I spoke about it. I said, my brother, at some point I was supporting you, but now I don't support you because I don't believe you. And I said to you, the only way the West will sell you, will support you is if Yoweri Museveni no longer protect foreign interests in our country. Then they will come and support you and sell you to the war or to Uganda. And I told you as a stand, Yoweri Museveni is still being supported heavily by the West because he's still protecting their interests. Don't feel Yoweri Museveni sometimes he speak like that and then no. He's still protecting foreign interests. You do that, they don't see what is going on in Uganda. They don't see it. They see it. And my brother, I told you, you are making a wrong mistake. You are on the right path. You were on the right path at first, gaining the support of African in Uganda, number one. Number two, you were on the right path, gaining the support of African in the diaspora of Black people worldwide. But the moment you start going to Europe to seek their support to sell you, and I said it a couple of years back when you did that, and I told you that was going to be your failure, and I told you you are going down. Your popularity will be done. And we see it today. At first, when you first started, your popularity was there by the African masses. It was there because we thought you were a true Pan-Africanist. A true Pan-Africanist will never go to Washington, D.C. for support, for direction, to be sold or to be sold to the world. No. A true Pan-Africanist will never go to Europe for Europe to sell them or to be sold, to Africans. It will not happen. True Pan-Africanists don't do that. True Pan-Africanist support come from Africa, the African continent and the diaspora. That's how you see Abraham Traore. You saw it. Once you are doing the right thing and being consistent and communicating, be transparent, you will get a Pan-Africanist support and you will succeed. No African leader get a support from Washington, D.C. and succeed. Because at the end of the day, the moment you decide to do the right thing for your people, they come for you. That's not success. The moment you decide to do the right thing for your nation, you will come for you. That's not success. So no African leader ever get their support from Washington, D.C. You become a success to your country. No, look at Tinubu. It's not going to happen. Even look at South Africa. It's not going to happen. When my brother, look at him. No African leader get their support. Look, and if an African leader is to succeed, you have to get your support from the grassroots up. Look at Abraham Traore. Even we're still fighting jihadi, we're still fighting terrorists that is Western back. He's still developing. See what he's still doing. But look at those so-called democratic nations. They're not even fighting tolerate, they're not even doing nothing, but still they can't do it. I heard something today about Liberia today and it baffled me. And I even commented. I have to go and do some research and see. But I don't know how true it is, so I'm not going to say it is true. But I heard the news that the Liberian government is planning on giving the airport. Oh my God. I had to do research. I heard that the Liberian government is planning on giving the airport to a foreigner or to a foreign company, right? for 25, oh my God, for 25 years. And then this foreign company or entity will take the airport, renovate the airport, because I would say renovation. That's not build the airport, no. Renovate the airport and then use the airport for 25 years. And then after 25 years, turn the airport over to Liberian. And when I commented there, like I said, I will have to do some research. I commented on that post and I said, do you call that development? A nation that is so rich in mineral and in population. The best thing you can do is naturalize all your mineral resources, manufacture your mineral resources, educate your people, right? Formal education, or how they call it, vocational education and tertiary education, all of these things, right? Give it to them. Okay? And then build, let your people be the one to build the factory. Let your people be the one to build the airport. That is development. But development is not taking your airport to give it to someone to come and renovate it. They're not development there. They're not building your airport. To come and renovate your airport and then use it for 25 years. And then after 25 years, give it to you. You will not maintain it. Because your people are not trained. Your people did not build that airport. You will not maintain it. And at the end of the day, if that company turn it over, that airport will not be maintained. Because the company that is coming to renovate that airport, to use it for 25 years, you think they want to give it over to you? No. Once that 25-year contract finishes, what's going to happen? They want you to renew it. So for that reason, if they renovate it, and then they listen for 25 years, right? What's going to happen? They are not going to train Liberian. They are not going to train you. Because they want you, when the contract finishes, you lease it back to them. It's a money-making thing. So they are not going to train Liberian. Yes, there will be Liberian working to some minor places, cleaning bathroom, cleaning, doing this and stuff. But the technical area, they're not going to teach Liberian. Because they want, when the 25 years finish, you will not be able to maintain that airport. And then at the end, you will start, as a government, you will start costing yourself. But we can't maintain this. We don't have trained Liberian. We have to give the contract back to them for another 25 years. It's a money, it's a business. Then you give it back to them. So technical area, they're not going to train Liberian to maintain the airport. They will absolutely not do it. Okay? And if they did not train Liberian, Liberian does not know how to maintain an airport. After the 25 years, they gave it over. The airport going to be what? It's going to go back to zero. And then at the end, you're going to call them back again and give it to them for another 25. So it's a business. So that's not development. Development is training your human capacity, your population. So China is developed because of Chinese. Because the Chinese saw it. Let me tell you what China did. Let me tell you what China did. You know what China did? Go and do your research. The Chinese, I think I talked about it before. What the Chinese did was, in order to develop what they did, they went and cut off America. They cut off Europe. Okay? I'm telling you a true story. They cut off Europe and they were never doing business with Europe. They cut off America. They were not doing business with America. Okay? And then they went to zero and start training their people. While America was out of the picture, Europe out of the picture. They start training their people. They invested in their people. They invested in the human development capacity of their people. And then when the people learn, and in fact, they send some of their people overseas. They send some of their people overseas. So while they were learning locally, some of their people were also overseas learning. And the people that learned overseas, they went back and then collaborated with the people that was learning locally. And then what they They start building their own infrastructure. They never went and took American foreign company to come and say, we'll listen to you, you build it, and then after 25 years, no, China did not develop like that. No nation in this world developed like that. America is developed because American. Europe developed because European. China developed because Chinese. But it seems that Africa, we don't get it. We have never gotten it, and I don't think we will ever get it. Because our mentality, foreign investor, foreign this, foreign this. No foreigner build a nation. No foreign investor build a nation. Those who call foreign, they are not foreign investors. They are looters. They are coming for the resources. They are coming for the benefit. They are not coming to invest anything in the country. They are not, in fact, the people you call foreign investor, they're coming with their empty hand, with empty suitcases. And then come, right, with some kind of a $10,000, for example, use that $10,000 and give it to politicians. And then politicians will now sign a contract and give it to them. Okay? Then, once it is guaranteed that they have your mine, when it is guaranteed that they have your mineral now, right, your iron ore and things, then you know what they do? Then they go to World Bank. That's a secret I'm telling you now. They go to World Bank and credit money from the World Bank because they know it is secure. They already have the iron ore, the mine, they already have it, the diamond mine, the gold mine, they already have it. Then they go to World Bank or IMF, credit money from IMF or World Bank. Because it is guaranteed because they are knowledgeable, right? They went to school, they know it. Only African, our leader don't want to train us, right? So they go to World Bank, credit money from World Bank give it to them, and then go and buy their equipment, and then start the mining process. Start mining your gold, start mining your iron ore, start mining your oil, your mineral resources, right? And then taking it to their country. And then they will go to IMF, take that money, and then tell IMF, in 3 years or in 4 years, we will pay your money back. And then they came to your country with zero, nothing. All they did was, for example, they took some kind of $10 million, right? And then come and bribe your government official, and your government official gave the contract to them. Nothing left for them. Then now they go to World Bank because it's secure. They go to World Bank, take money from World Bank, and then tell World Bank in 3 or 4 years' time we will pay. And then now they buy equipment, right? And then they come and extract your gold, your diamond, your iron ore, your mineral resources, and then take it to their country, right? And then manufacture a finished product, and then they sell it. And then sometime in 2 years they pay by IMF. And then you give the contract to them, right, for 25 years or 30 years. But in 2 years' time, the loan they took from IMF to buy the equipment, in 2 years' time, they said they were going to pay in 3 years or 4 years, right? But in 2 years' time, they was over to clear IMF off. So 30 good years, they extract their resources. It's for them. You see the logic in that? And then they will come to your country and they tell you, we will build school, we will build hospital, we will build this, but after 10, 15 years, no hospital, no school. You know why? They will never ever build it. And your government will do nothing because your government have been paid already. The $10 million, right, they took for, they came and bribe your government can say nothing. The contract have been signed already. That's not development, folks. Development only comes when the human capacity, how they call it, of your nation have been developed. And then I see human capacity of that nation now will use that knowledge, right, to transform what other means within a country. That's how a nation developed. That's how China then developed today. It was not African I went to China to develop China. It was not American I went to China to develop China. It was not European I went to China to develop China. In fact, when the Chinese did, they cut off America, cut off Europe, and then developed their population, and then they invested in their own infrastructure. They start building their infrastructure. And then after they got developed, then now they open the world to the market before America went in. And when America went in, America can't control them. They have to do the control because they build their country. They have power over the economy. But you do not develop your nation's capacity. No, foreigner will come and take control. And that's why Africa don't get it yet. Talking about taking the Liberia airport, giving it to a foreign entity to come and renovate it, and then use it for 25 years, and then give it back. We will not still maintain it. And they will not educate us in those technical areas to maintain the airport. It will never happen because they want to renew the contract. That's how it works. They are not investors. Let's continue.
It's the official policy. If you read the actual U.S. policy, the national security posture and strategy, all that crap, any country that develops economically or militarily must be considered to be an enemy, and we must do what we can to keep that country down. The U.S. is currently developing plans to have a war with China, which is so freaking absurd.
Wait, so we're mad at them because not because they directly did anything bad to us, but because they're more successful?
We don't like their form of government. We don't like the idea that they're economically successful. And we believe that it's a zero-sum game, that we need to control the entire world. And, China is getting to be powerful. And if we let them become too powerful, then we won't control the entire world.
Did you hear their sick mind? Any country that can grow outside America by their own is an enemy to them. They want to do everything to bring that country down. And I will tell you the reason behind it. For example, China, they call it a communist, and China is doing well. And their propaganda and agenda is for you to see that a communist can never do well. But China is doing very well. So it becomes a problem for them because their country, the population is going to say, if communism is so bad, how can China be doing well? That is the problem. So they will invent anything to bring problem to crush their economy. That is who you are dealing with.
All right, so you heard it, right? Like the narrator said, any country that is doing well or that want to do well in economic, in military, the United States will not like them. They will try to bring it down. So that is why they brought Gaddafi down. Because Gaddafi wanted Africa to be militarily independent, economically independent. They brought Gaddafi down. So today, they're doing the same thing with Ibrahim Traoré. They have tried so many times with assassination to bring this man down. But it's not working. So you heard it. So under no circumstances, when we say Europe and Africa, the West and Africa will never, ever come together. Never. It will not happen. Don't think we just come out here and say something because we want to say something. Never. Because we are just saying it, not from our own perspective, but from their own self. They themselves saying it. So basically, we're just repeating what they say. We're just repeating what they say. That's all. Basically, that's what we're doing here. We're not saying anything contrary. We are just repeating exactly what they themselves are saying, that Washington, D.C. and Africa will never, ever collaborate as long as Africa wants to stand on. It will not happen. That's why they killed Gaddafi. That's why they put sanctions on Robert Mugabe until Robert Mugabe died. That's why they killed Sankara, Lumumba. Even the Haitian president, that's why they killed him. Never will it happen. It's not because we don't want to, and I said it here before, it's because of their attitude, what they believe, what they perceive. So you see it. Why should Africans still come? Oh, this is a global village. We are one. We can't do this. We need to preach love. How long African people are going to be preaching love? How long are we going to be preaching love, 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 love? We are one. We are one. We are global village. We are global village. We are one. We need to come together. How long are we going to be doing it? Because at the end of the day, the reason why we are here speaking about love is because of the other people. It's them. If not because of them, nobody will be talking about love. You only speak about love when there is no love. You only speak about love when there is no love and you want for love to come. But if there is love, you don't speak about love because it's already there. If you have food, a lot of food in your house, you don't talk about hunger. You don't say I'm hungry because food is there. You don't say I'm hungry. The only time you say I'm hungry when no food. No food, that's why you're hungry. You are hungry because there is no food. You are speaking love because love is not there. So you want for love to come. Okay? So how long we going to be speaking about love, love, love when the other people don't care about love? When the other people don't want to hear about love? When we told the other people the greatest crime against humanity is the transatlantic slave trade, and the other people say, no way, we're not recognizing it. That's not a crime. The other people say enslaving you was not a crime. Dividing the continent was not a crime. Cutting leopard, cutting African hands up, cutting their legs and things, making it all of chocolate, it was not a crime. Washington, D.C. said Thomas Jefferson having 300 slaves, women having sex with them, okay, getting them pregnant and selling the babies because the baby came out to be black or somehow have some melanin in it. Washington, D.C. said was not a crime. James Maroon have over 300 to 400 African women on sex farms, sex slaves. They said it was not a crime. Selling babies, black baby to alligator bait, they said it was not a crime. Making black people out of barbecue, they said it was not a crime. Imagine that. They said it was not a crime. Debating over a pregnant woman, that's a boy, that's a girl, and they split that child, that woman pregnancy. They said it was not a crime. Having an affair of a man in front of his wife and children, they said it was not a crime. Having an affair in front with a woman in front of her husband and telling the husband to sit and watch, they said it was not a crime. I mean, you go on and on, selling human being and then making human being as a property. They said it was not a crime. So why would these people come and talk to you about love? Well, what that love? They don't even accept what they did to you was bad. There will be no love. Before someone loves you, they have to accept what they did to you first before you can talk about love. So we don't want people coming telling us, you know, why you're saying this? We had to preach love. You can never ever preach love to someone who is not willing to listen to what you are talking about.
Our government doesn't even care about us. So the fact that you think that by hosting U.S. military bases in your countries means that the U.S. would care about you is laughable. Don't be stupid. That's it. Our government doesn't even care about us. So the fact that you think that by hosting U.S. military bases in your countries means that the U.S. would care about you is laughable. Don't be stupid. That's it.
Exactly. Don't be stupid. I end it right there. I'm not going to say more than what she just said. Keep on having those foreign military bases in your country. Don't be stupid. All right, folks, the last video, and then this is the last video, right? Then we call it for a day, folks.
Everybody, the Chinese, the Russians, the Turks, the Iranians, Israel, the United States, everybody wants to take Africa. You know why? Africa alone monopolizes 42 of the 48 strategic minerals and resources of the world. That's why they want to take Africa. Because to survive in the 22nd century, you need those African resources. They have everything. Europe doesn't have anything. What does Europe have? Europe got everything from Africa. You take away Africa from Europe, and Europe is dead. Japan, big power. What does Japan have? Zero. They get everything from Africa and the oil from the Middle East. Look what is happening. Iran cuts off, in 3 weeks, cut off, closed the Gulf, closed the Strait of Hormuz, and already the whole economy of the world is in crisis. So that shows you that these countries don't have the resources. It's Africa which has the resources. And the oil is in Nigeria, the Middle East, Angola. The whole platform of West Africa is nothing but oil, which has never been touched. From Namibia, you go straight up to Senegal, and Mauritania is nothing but oil. You have two big oil platforms in the world, the African, West African platform, and the Caribbean platform, which goes from Brazil straight up to Venezuela and Colombia. That's why Maduro, they picked him up in his bed and took him up to the United States, because Maduro said, no, you're not going to take this oil. So I'm here to tell you that Hitler is back. Hitler is back. Except that today he speaks many languages. He's multilingual. And today he's not in Germany. He's all over. He's multinational. He's all over the world. And you know, today he doesn't have that funny little mustache that Hitler had, ridiculous little mustache that people laughed. No, he is back without the mustache.
Voice of Africa.
All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, this is Frank. I'm your host. This is the Revolutionary Repatriation Educational Lecture Series. This is why they hate Africans, they hate Africa, but they love the African resources. So who cares if the United Nations leave Africa? Because the truth is, they cannot survive without Africa. In fact, for me, as they are leaving Burkina Faso, they shouldn't just leave with the United Nations human rights. The entire United Nations have permission, whatsoever you call them, they should leave Africa. In fact, they should not just leave Burkina Faso, they should leave Niger, they should leave Mali. Okay? They should leave Africa holistically. They should leave and go. They should leave. Who cares? When they depend on Africa, do you think they really want to leave? They don't want to leave. They don't really want to leave. It's like they're speaking about separation. But whenever Black people want to separate, then they come back. Oh no, this was a global village. We can't be separated. We need to, because they see what in it. Because the truth is, you know what separation means? It just means Black, because we will find our unity. Once that separation comes, absolutely unity is easy. So they know it. They will only speak about separation, but it is not from their heart. It is psychological game that they play on our mind, that if we separate, we can't make it. That's the game. But the truth is, see what happened in France. The moment Mali and Niger, Burkina Faso said our 500 billion every year in our coming France, what happened? The France economy collapsed. Job collapsed. People protesting 24/7, even up to now. People are still protesting for job. Even up to now, no electricity, healthcare, education. Because the capital is not flowing again like before. Electricity, because the uranium is not going again like before. Now they're sleeping in darkness. They're sleeping in darkness. Now they say Africa is primitive, right? Now guess what they do in France? They go back to those primitive times, okay? Those primitive terms, like the kind of light, people used to use those primitive terms. That's what now they are using in France to see some places. Some places, that's what they are using. They go to those primitive terms. But they like to call Africa, primitive, terroir, this. But when Africans decide we don't want to be called primitive, we don't want to be called terroir, then it becomes problem to them. When Africans decide, go back. Now, say we are terroir, we are primitive, we are this. Don't come to the terroir country. Don't come to the primitive country. They get angry. You see the psychological game that they always play on us? These people, in their wildest dream, they never ever want to see Africans being separated from them. Don't even dream about it. That's not their aim. Their aim is not to separate because they know what will happen if we actually separate. Hey, God. They have nothing that they can survive on. They survive on Africa. Everything comes from Africa. Africa is the garden. When you read your religious book, they talk about the garden. Africa is the garden. That was where creation took place. That was where creation took place. That was where everything was placed. That was where the Creator was standing when he created the world, the heaven and the earth. I'm talking to the religious people now. That was that continent the Creator was standing. And the Creator was born on that continent. When the Creator was creating that continent, that was where he was born. His son was born. I'm talking about the religious people now, the Jesus Christ, because that place you call the Middle East was never Middle East. It was not called Middle East. That was part of Africa. You just walk there and get right there to that Jerusalem there. The Nile River, everything there. That's Africa. That's where he was standing when he created the world. When he created the heaven and the earth. That the place he was standing on our land. When he said, let us beautify this place. That's why Africa is beautiful. I'm talking about the religious people now. The animal, the ark, and when Noah built the ark and put all the animal to this, that's Africa. Why you see all those animals in those places and things? You go Kenya, see. You go Tanzania. You go South Africa. Go and see it. That's where he stood and created the world and created everything. So everything magnet, that's what he put down. That's why he said, you are blessed and above all people. But because of your ignorance, you don't even know how blessed you are. But anyway, I'm not going to religions today. We did that sometime before. But that's my presentation for today. United Nations, we don't even want you in Africa. We don't like you. You are biased. You are demon. You are Western organization. You don't care about African life. You support terrorists. Have been alleged. You loot African resources. We saw you in DRC Congo when you flip over, as it was reported, over 300 billion of resources, right? I was in a truck that you flip over. What would a United Nations truck be doing in DRC Congo carrying over 300 worth of mineral resources? You don't investigate African interests. Africans have gone to the United Nations several times with reports about terrorists who support them. You don't do investigation. You don't care. So Africans don't care about you. You are biased. You are a biased organization. You don't like African. You don't love African. Go back to your Europe. Go back to your Europe and go and solve the European thing. We don't want you. We don't like you. We don't need you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the today presentation I have to give you. This is Frank. I'm your host. This is WCC, the repatriation. Okay. All right, let it be like that because I'm kind of mixing it up. Anyway, so this is WCC, right? That's what we have to give you today. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for tuning in, listening, and being here all this time. Like, subscribe, man. Subscribe. It's not going to do you anything to subscribe. It's not going to do you anything to share. It's not going to do you anything. But what you're going to do is build a community. And, you know, what you're going to do is passing the information on to our people, for our people to be more aware, you know, what is going on, so that our good leaders, we can save our good leader, okay? Because under no circumstances, the United States and NATO will go and bomb Faru in Togo. They will not do it. They will never bomb Pombia. They will never go and bomb Tinubu. They will not do it. Okay? And that is why we need to keep talking. If the US want to bomb, let them go bomb Tinubu. Let them go bomb Faru. Let them go bomb Pombia. Okay? All those dictators, let them go and bomb them. We don't care. But our good leaders, the last person that was ever killed by the United States government and Europe was Gaddafi. No leader again will be assassinated. No African leaders will be assassinated by Washington, D.C. and Europe. It will not happen again. If that ever happened, Washington, D.C. and Europe will get the rub of black people. Peace.
The white power structure, because that's all we have in America. And the white power structure today is just as much interested in perpetuating slavery as the white power structure was 100 years ago. Only now they use modern methods of doing so. And realizing that the black people in this country are waking up and becoming filled with a desire to be looked upon as men and as human beings. The white power structure to slow down that struggle for freedom and human dignity uses tricks. 100 years ago they could do it with chains. Today they use tricks. And one of the tricks that they've invented is this token integration. To get Negro, so-called Negro leaders to accept a few token crumbs of integration that don't solve any problem for the masses of black people in this country whatsoever. But it does make the hand-picked Negroes be satisfied to slow down the cry of the masses. And a good example of that is as soon as the spirit of rebellion or revolution began to spread among the masses of black people in this country, and they began to take an active part, and they showed that they weren't confined to this nonviolent approach, then the government or the power structure began to sit up and take notice